Welcome to the Hay Kings podcast, brought to you by Vermeer, your expert in hay and forage equipment. Recording this podcast is a privilege. So frequently we talk about the importance of family and water and land, those things so critical to agriculture. Then sometimes I just get to sit around and shoot the breeze talking about equipment. Here's a clip from one of my recent recordings with Andrew Liemgruber, where we're just talking about haying equipment. Enjoy.
The other benefit of our growing area is our labor availability. You know, being so close to the Mexico border, I mean, it's expensive, but we have plentiful labor available. People that have green cards willing to come across and still do this physical demanding work. We're not quite as big as Tijuana, but Mexicali, which is right next to us, it's still like 1.5 million people. So it's a huge amount of people. So here I'm in a town of 5,000 right next to the border, a very rural town. And then right across the border, it's like a different world.
That border is all the difference, especially going from California to Mexico.
Yeah, no, it's pretty wild. Our potato crops are kind of our onion and our carrots. You know, we grow D-high onions and carrots, and that's kind of a digging, rotating crop that works really well with alfalfa. But I thought it was funny. I've seen, pictures probably up from not too far from your area where they're digging potatoes in the snow. And I'll look at the John Deere tractors and every crack and hole, there's a rag shoved into so no cold air gets in. Well, we do the same thing down here, but it's so no hot air gets in.
Oh, geez.
I just that always cracked me up when I would see, there's always a little hole here or there in the calves of a John Deere. And I just thought that was the funniest thing, just the inverse.
Before you, I was talking to a guy up in Canada, and he was talking about 20 below, 30 below, and he was trying to do the conversion to Celsius, or he gave it to me in Fahrenheit, and I said, it doesn't matter at those temperatures.
Yeah, it's just cold.
It's just cold. And he agreed. He goes, yeah, once you get below minus 20, it doesn't matter whether it's Fahrenheit or Celsius. It all feels the same.
Yeah, we're pretty nice today. We're in the low 90s. We've actually had a cold spell. But next week, it's supposed to be 111. And once we pretty much get into June, it's 3 months of triple digits straight.
That's amazing.
I mean, we don't break 100 degrees. And then,
going down.
And then right. And then the nights, it'll be 90 degrees and you're just, it's pitch black and you're sweating. It's good for the grass hays. The grass hays love the high heat, but like I said, the alfalfa almost even suffers. We have to irrigate at night because if we irrigate the alfalfa during the day when it's that hot, it'll get like anaerobic shock. You'll scald it.
Oh.
And alfalfa actually only grows on the good ground down here with really good drainage. If you have heavier dirt and it just won't grow. You have to have drainage with alfalfa.
Yeah, that's why the Columbia Basin works for spuds and alfalfa is it's really sandy soil. It's a desert too with the rain shadow effect.
Right.
Same.
That's why we're so similar. Yeah, it's different, seasons, as far as the length of day and the coolness and things like that. But the precipitation is the same. And with that rain shadow effect, essentially the probability of rain from, June to August for us is like zero. It's impossible for it to rain. Once we get into August and September, then we kind of get the monsoons that can come from the south. And those can really put a damper on our alfalfa seed crops. And that, it's kind of a different thing. We sell a lot of alfalfa seed to the Middle East. And so our county actually has a Roundup Ready moratorium.
Oh, fascinating. So are those non-dormant varieties?
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
We have they aim for salt tolerancy and not so much for that. So our biggest customers are the Middle East and Israel and Saudi Arabia, and they buy, we're a huge alfalfa seed growing region. And that's kind of our rotation. We'll put hay in alfalfa for 4 to 5 years. The 4th and 5th year, you'll get like 2 or 3 cuttings, and then you'll stress it out and you put bees out there and you go to seed and you thrash it in July, August. And then we have to, anytime you go to seed, you got to reseed it and scratch it up for that 5th year, and you'll get a couple cuttings and you go back to seed. So, and then after that 5th year of alfalfa, we take it out, and there's a number of things. If you don't go the produce route, we grow field corn, we grow wheat. We do a lot of winter wheat.
In the northern hemisphere, that's funny. Northern latitudes, Durham's a spring wheat.
Right. Our Durham is very comparable to what they're doing in like the Dakotas and up into Canada. We actually come off, lately there's no money in wheat. It's kind of just a rotational crop. We can see if they have a huge crop failure up in the Dakotas.
Oh, in time to plant your...
Yeah, it's in time for us to plant. So there'll be times when all of a sudden you'll see the farmers down here just shotgunning a bunch of wheat. But in relative scale, I mean, we're probably producing 10% of the nation's Durham wheat compared to up there, in you're closer to your area where they're producing such a larger amount.
That's kind of eastern Montana and then into the Dakotas there for sure.
Right, that big sky country.
Yep. Let's take a break there and we'll get a word from our sponsor.
I'm Danny Wan, and I switched to the Vermeer 604R because I believe this baler is built to last. I bale about 4,000 bales a year, and I think as much money you give for a baler, they need to bale 4,000 bales a year, even if it's for 10 years, they need to get it done. The day I ran it, we absolutely had no issues at all. It fired up, and I baled like some guy. It just baled all day long.
Hear the full story at makinhay.com/haykings.
We grow soft white winter wheat just south of Spokane. That's kind of our niche product here. Mm-hmm. We got some outstanding yields. I've heard 120 bushel non-irrigated winter wheat. And I mean planted in September, 2 feet of snow on it, and then it comes out of the ground and you start telling the Australians about wheat that's in the ground for 11 months and they don't get it.
Yeah. That's kind of how the funny thing with our field corn too. Our field corn at times will be farther ahead than the southern hemisphere field corn.
Oh, geez.
That the millennial farmer,
yeah,
in the Midwest.
Yep.
He's always posting. They got their field corn planted, and I sent him a picture of our field corn. It's already above my head, and I'm 6'1". So, and I said, "You got to catch up, buddy."
I'd love to have him on the Haykings podcast.
Yeah, I'll definitely mention it. He'd be a big get. And we're still big proponents of used equipment.
Yeah, me too.
So, that new stuff is pricey even, for full timers like us. And we've kind of gotten into the new equipment business with, they got a lot of programs in California where if you trade in an old tractor, they'll put up 60% of the cost of a new tractor.
That sounds like a steal of a deal.
Yeah. So we've been taking advantage of that, but you essentially, it seems like, it's win-win. You're getting a tractor 60% discounted, but problem is you're taking a tractor that was paid off and you're getting a new tractor
with debt
that has debt, and also it's got all this tier 4 and DEF, and you can't work on it. And I have an excellent mechanic in my shop, and he just tells me like they don't build it like they used to, and I'm not working on this thing, and
right.
It's just that whole issue. But we do, because we don't stop, we do enough acres that we can't. I wish we could, just have all the old equipment and all the old tractors, but we just can't. We're constantly rotating tractors out just to mount. When you're doing a couple thousand acres, 10 cuttings a year, I mean, we put a couple thousand hours on a tractor per year. So,
oh, geez.
Yeah, it's a lot of wear and tear.
Yeah, you don't get to run 55 series forever if you're putting a couple thousand hours a year.
Exactly. Right. And because of how many acres we're covering, I mean, I try to minimize my workforce too. I mean, I only have 6 full-time guys, for the amount of acres that we're doing. It's actually, we run extremely lean. So I'm always trying to, find the largest equipment that can save me labor. The New Holland we run has a 21-foot header. With GPS auto steer on it, just to try to get that extra couple of inches on every pass, and whatever we can do to save on labor.
Is that a disc header?
It's a disc line. Yeah.
I didn't know they made a 21-foot header.
Only one in the industry. Yeah.
Wow, that's huge. You see, with a 100-day growing season and that 2-week harvest period, you can't support hardly any new equipment. It doesn't make sense. You
Right.
cannot
No, I
make enough
understand.
money on the ground where I farm in 2 weeks to have high dollar equipment. It doesn't work. We all run older stuff, and I just upgraded. And I wanted to ask you about that 370 New Holland because I just got offered a diesel engine baler, a diesel engine 370. Looks in fairly good shape and $7,000, and I'm running a 2-tie baler, looking to go that 3-tie route. Your thoughts on that 370 in grass hay?
Are you talking a Freeman or a New
Yeah,
Holland?
Freeman.
Freeman, yeah. They're getting harder to find people that know how to work on them and help you with them, but they're a stout baler. And the thing about them, we still run ones that used to be wire feed. I mean,
Really?
Yeah, we have old ones that we still run, and they almost run as good when they're old as they do when they're new. So there's really no benefit in getting a brand new one. But they, you can easily pack the weight into them. I mean, and all of our balers have diesel power units on them. None of them are PTO driven. Our small balers, our Crone is a PTO driven. We get in those high tonnage hay crops like you do with your Timothy that you need it's better to idle down the tractor and go slow and then be able to crank the baler up.
You know what a 499 New Holland is?
Right.
12-foot sickle mower. I just went to a 4990 John Deere with a 14-foot disc head on it. So this is an upgrade year for me.
How are you going to handle the bales? That's the one big thing too, going from 2-string to 3-string.
I have a 1075.
Oh, you have a 1075?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's what we had for a number of years.
Yep.
We recently upgraded to BW28s, but
Yep.
we always ran those 1075s.
Yeah, and that 1075, I just upgraded almost all of my equipment. And actually, if I do the baler, I'll have upgraded everything except the tractors. There's a neighbor down the road that's upgrading and trying to help me out a little bit, and he's getting me some pretty decent deals on all this equipment. But that 1075 has the poly insert on the pickup header. It has, oh boy, all new tires and a rebuilt engine on it. None of that's new. Has the 1085 computer in it. Pretty good setup.
And, sure, it's a stick shift, right?
Yeah, it's the stick shift, and actually that's
the
the reason.
one benefit of going to the 1085. You get the automatic, but
that's the reason that he's getting rid of it, is because he got a deal on something with the automatic transmission that he can put a high school kid in. Thank you so much for sharing.
Nice to talk with you, John.